Hey, Kingdom Hearts fans, my name is Unlike Mike, but if you'd like, you can just call me Mike. And I want to talk about the future of Final Fantasy characters in the Kingdom Hearts series and what I think they should do going forward, because I actually think they have a pretty good idea. But first, I should just briefly explain my opinion on their existence in this series to begin with. So, firstly, I do not think Kingdom Hearts needs Final Fantasy. I think there's a caveat to that I'll get into in a second, but the series has proven multiple times that it doesn't need them at all. I mean, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 were the only games that really featured Final Fantasy characters prominently in them. And every other game is either super minute or doesn't even exist. Like, for an example, if you ask the fan base in their opinion, what was the best storyline, which game had the best storyline? I think majority of people would probably surface around like 358, Union Cross, or even Dark Roads, and none of those games featured Final Fantasy characters in them. So I think that's proof that they can tell compelling stories without them, and even like I guess gameplay really wouldn't matter in this, but like if you think of something like Recoded, it doesn't have a great storyline, but probably has one of the best gameplays in all the entire series, and that doesn't really feature Final Fantasy characters at all either. I thought even like Birth by Sleep with as minor of a role as like Zach had or whatever, like that it was so minuscule and didn't really add much to the game. And that game was successful and loved. And then with Kingdom Hearts 3 not featuring Final Fantasy characters at all, it's my second favorite game in this series. That's just me personally. And it's technically sold the best out of all the Kingdom Hearts games and didn't have any Final Fantasy characters in it. Um, Briefly, before I jump into my idea that I have for Final Fantasy characters, just to explain how I felt about the lack of Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts 3, you can kind of guess probably by now that I was super unbothered. They did warn us ahead of time, if I remember correctly. And I was always on the side that this series doesn't need Final Fantasy characters in it. So I was completely unbothered. And then recently, I just rewatched all the cutscenes from 3 again, and in doing so, it made me really realize how little space that there was to like add something like that. I was actually really impressed because I never really paid attention too hard to it on how well Kingdom Hearts 3 stays on track of the overall narrative, or its at least Disney World narrative. It never really veers off. And when you take that into an account, you can start to see why they were not included in this game. And then I tried to semi pay attention to what scenes were kind of wasted, right? Because Kingdom Hearts is actually, I feel like most of the games have like a lot of wasted cutscenes that don't really mean anything, do anything, lead up to anything. And then for Kingdom Hearts 3, surprisingly, it was like very minuscule. I think it's because there was so much that the game had to do, right? That it doesn't get enough credit for. I think. For an example, like what I mean is every other game before it maybe only had like 2 to 3 objectives, right? So if we think Kingdom Hearts 2, there was really only 2 objectives that it had to accomplish, or maybe three that it had to accomplish because of its previous games, and that was find Riku, find reunite with Kyrie, and further set up the Organization 13 because of Chain of Memories. And then for Kingdom Hearts 3, it was the laundry list is crazy. It's save Aqua, save Ven, save Terra, save Roxas, save Shion, save Naminé, introduce the new Organization 13, defeat Xehanorts, discover the power of waking. Um, Honestly, and I can keep going on, and I would like to do a video eventually on this. It just had so much that it had to accomplish, so there really wasn't room for it to veer off, and it stays pretty on track like the entire game, which was kind of impressive. If we take into an account, but taking into an account like wasted cutscenes, you can kind of debate which were wasted and which wasn't. Like Verum Rex, that whole cutscene. which I absolutely love, and I wouldn't take that out for anything. That was absolutely amazing and threw me off so hard. Um, but you can take into account those, maybe Maleficent and Pete's scene searching for the box. I know most people don't like Let It Go and uh, Do You Want to Build a Snowman? You can get rid of all of those. I personally didn't mind Let It Go. I like that song, but I don't like Do You Want to Build a Snowman? I wasn't too bothered by it. Um, but taking into account all of those, if you add it all together, maybe you're saving like 10 minutes out of like a 10 hours worth of cutscenes, which isn't a lot of time, and 10 minutes worth of Final Fantasy characters. I don't know. Really wouldn't have been worth it to take out like Verum Rex and Maleficent Pete's scene, which sets them up for the future. But the caveat to not needing Final Fantasy characters in this series is I think although I give Kingdom Hearts 3 the pass because of how much it had to do, going forward, there should always be Final Fantasy characters in this series, which I know is a bit contradictory to what I'm like basically saying, sort of. But yes, I think there should always be Final Fantasy characters in this series for one reason and one reason only, and that reason's money. Yes, just because of the money and the marketing, I think Final Fantasy characters and maybe other Square properties too is included in this should always make it into a Kingdom Hearts game. Uh, just because this series is so unique in the sense that I can't think of any other game that's like this either. That crossovers isn't its main MO, and it's in this but it's already established into the series, and it's not only accepted, it's welcomed by the fan base, which that's just so unique to this single game and it and it works. Cause let's take for myself for an example. As a kid, I played maybe the first disc of Final Fantasy VII when I was like really young, but I was real shit at the game, and um, yeah, I was just not good at the game and didn't know what the hell I was doing, and never really touched it again. And it was like my aunt's game. Um, but then because of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, because I seen like Cloud and I liked everything with it and the Sephiroth fights, I went back and I replayed Final Fantasy 7. I actually bought it, and since then that's what got me into that series, and since then I watched and owned the movies. I even recently I watched it in theater when it got re-released. I own all 3 books for Final Fantasy 7. Uh, played and beat Birth by Sleep, Dirge of Cerberus 7 like remake, and got into the Final Fantasy TCG because of Kingdom Hearts. And yeah, that's just like a lot of money being put into that other series just because I played Kingdom Hearts. You know what I mean? And I think that's like holds a lot of value, or that makes this game hold a lot of value. Is that as it's allows Kingdom Hearts fans to be introduced into the Final Fantasy series, and also it works in reverse too. Uh, it's also incentive for Final Fantasy, like big Final Fantasy fans, to get into the Kingdom Hearts series. Like even like Maximilian dude on YouTube who isn't even a Kingdom Hearts fan, and he still played just because for the Sephiroth fights, and I think that's like a big deal. So that being said, I think Square should always have Final Fantasy characters or some one of their other games represented in the Kingdom Hearts series just because money, and I want to see this game and all their other games succeed and go forward still. So I think Kingdom Hearts 3 gets the pass 100% because of everything it had to do. But going forward, always add Final Fantasy characters. Even if you can't fit them into the narrative at all, find a way to do something about it and add them in anyways. And that's where I think I actually have a pretty good idea. And I actually think it's kind of possible that they will be building up to this. And that is adding the summons as Heartless's secret bosses, right? I think that's super dope. And I think people would absolutely lose their minds over this. And I think it panders to the fans perfectly, like both Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy fans. It would be unique in the sense that like data battles, right, that we had from 2 and 3, I think those should stay over at 2 and 3 because they've already been done. I don't wanna I think I don't wanna fight them again, like Marluxia again for the 3rd time in a data battle. Um, this is a good opportunity to do something new and unique, and think of, like, what's that Heartless and Arendelle called? Skull? Think of, like, that fight, but, like, as a secret boss with cameras flipped with but Final Fantasy summons though. That'd be awesome. Like I this is my attempt at fuck this freaking flip camera. This is my attempt at trying to turn Bahamut into a heartless. I try to cut out a little heart-shaped hole in its chest. Just use your imagination. This thing ended up actually looking like Red Eyes Black Dragon, so I ended up having to turn it purple. Maybe I should have just did Red Eyes with like a heart. It would have been easier. Anyways, but I would lose my mind. I think this panders to the fans perfectly. And it would do what Sephiroth does is incentivize the Final Fantasy fans to go do these fights against like their favorite summons that are like huge and cinematic, like the skull fight was in Arendelle. Uh, and I think this is definitely the way to go. You can even do like I was thinking post game content wise, like their own independent story. This is getting into a bit of fan fiction right here with this next slide. But yeah, you can do its own independent like post game story for these Final Fantasy characters too. Uh, but they're already on the track of doing this, right? They're kind of like slyly setting it up. We know Nomura wants Bahamut the in the game because they data mined it in Kingdom Hearts 1 that he was supposed to be a summon, but got left out. I can't remember why. And in Union Cross, they've already created a bunch of Heartlesses as like super bosses to fight, right? Union Cross has already set this up, so that's why I think that this is actually a high possibility to happen in the future. But we had Titan, Leviathan, Shiva, Rama, is that how you say it? And Ifrit. I think I said that right too. I don't know. All of these were already created in Union Cross. Now they just have to be upscaled. So this at least shows to me that that's within their radar, and I think this is the way to go. To be honest, as far as like why have Final Fantasy characters next to them, this is just like a little bit of fan fiction, I guess, like storyline that they like a route that they could take to include more Final Fantasy. But these could be Heartlesses for Final Fantasy characters, right? So like I just threw Guy. I don't know why Guy always reminds me of Titan for whatever reason from Final Fantasy 2. Titus and Leviathan, there's some connections there with water. Leviathan's probably our closest looking thing to Sin. Um, it would be even like a way that we could even reintroduce like what the hell happened to Titus, or you know what I mean? You can answer some questions surrounding Final Fantasy characters that maybe we still have, and just explain them away and it'd be fine, like in a quick way. uh I have Shiva's Rhinoa only because there's with Leon's character, there's the fact that he calls himself Leon and not Squall. He wears Rhinoa's wings on the back. Even in Kingdom Hearts 2 during the credit scene, he got a letter from Rhinoa as well. I think most people kind of miss or forget that happened. So we don't know. We know something happened to Rhinoa, but we don't know what it is. I think it'd be easy explained like, okay, that makes sense. So Leon, failed to save Rhinoa, and maybe Rhinoa just ended up turning into like one of these crazy powerful Heartlesses. Obviously, Clive, Ifrit, that just makes the most sense. And it'd be and that'd be a cool way to introduce Clive into the series as well. They don't even have to stick around. Maybe this is just us allowing them to pass on, to be honest. Um, and then for Rama, I put Odin because I don't know, like lightning would fit if she wasn't right, like she's like Raiden or whatever, um, or Odin, right? But anyways, he's just like it's just like an old dude. Odin fits because like lightning and Norse mythology. Plus, he's like Rama looks old with the beard or whatever, and it'd be a cool way to kind of reuse an old character and adapt more on him. That if they don't plan on using those Dark Road characters anymore, this is like a way that you can use them again. So yeah, at the very least, like just give us the boss battles. Um, if you want to take a step further, just add some lore to it if you want. Doesn't even like I said, doesn't even have to be a lot. For like back to the Rhinoa thing, just simply like saying, "Oh, these are special heartlesses," right? There's not a lot of them. I think there's just Ansem the Wise, the Guardian Terra, and the Lich from Kingdom Hearts 3. Special meaning, like they have like more autonomy, and their main goal isn't just like the spreading of darkness and stealing hearts or whatever. But yeah, you can call them all special heartlesses, and the reason why they're so special is like because they got these Final Fantasy characters with these really powerful hearts within them. And as far as like you don't even have to say much with the whole Shiva Rhinoa connection. It would just be, oh, okay, we know what happened now. And it's a quick way to add lore without actually having to add a lot to the series. The same with like even Rama and Odin. Like it'd be like, oh, okay, damn, Odin ended up dying and turned into Rama. Another thing that I thought would be cool would have been like they even made Gilgamesh as they called him master weapon in Union Cross, but they made Gilgamesh as well, which he's one of my favorite summons. I think this Gilgamesh could have its own like Final Fantasy spinoff, like just call it Final Fantasy Gilgamesh, and this dude could be like an anti-hero or an anti-villain or something, because he's just really badass. I like him a lot. Right, but he could end up being Zach. He could have been Zach Farah. Now we can explain away, what happened to Zach after Birth by Sleep, like right, because it's still kind of unknown. We think we assume that it's Sephiroth did something, probably killed him, and maybe his heart was used to create Master Weapon. I even think it would be unique if like maybe even Zach or Master Weapon had more autonomy than the rest of these Heartlesses, and like is not really that evil. I don't know. I'm super fan fiction right there. But anyways, you could just simply do that to explain away Zach. And right, we're adding lore without adding we're adding lore without adding much to the series, right? So it's not going to take up a lot of space. But they're also still like dope ass giant unique boss battles. Uh Stuff that's like super cinematic. We could even like have other Final Fantasy characters assist us in these battles, right? Imagine fighting uh Weapon Master Gilgamesh over here and he's stealing your Keyblade, or you have Cloud and Leon and Yuffie fighting with us and he's stealing their weapons during the boss battle. That would be hella fire. Um but the other thing I thought too was like maybe these are like these the story you can go with is these special heartlesses are being created by someone or something, and the whole goal is to find who's doing this or whatever, and putting a stop to whoever's creating all these heartlesses, and that would be the final uh Final Fantasy heartless that they created in Union Cross, and this is my personal favorite. I really, really hope that this gets added to a mainline game. But it's the Mysterious Sir, which is Kefka's. It's a heartless based off of Kefka's final boss battle in Final Fantasy VI, and I think he just looks super dope. Like this dude looks so menacing, and whomever the artist that created that heartless, uh, you can tell is a Final Fantasy VI fan because they absolutely snapped with that design. That actually might be my favorite heartless design of all time, and I do not like a lot of Union Cross's heartless designs. But he's also paired with dude, this flip camera is killing me. He's also paired with, as you see, the three other heartlesses that surround him, which are kind of based off of Fiend, Demon, and Goddess, which were the boss battles leading up to the final boss, Kefka in Final Fantasy VI. So in my head, I was like, okay, he's already kind of like can spawn, and maybe that's like his thing. He can spawn and create other heartlesses himself because he's just so fucking evil. Um, so maybe he's the one who's creating all of these summon heartlesses or whatever, and that's like the goals. We end up finding this, and I know Final Fantasy VI fans would lose their absolute mind, and this guy's got to like feed on absolute destruction, like just Yazora times 10, to be honest, as far as like kicking our ass. And I don't know. I just think that would be super dope. I just think that how absolute fire would that be? I know Final Fantasy fans would be hyped, and even Kingdom Hearts fans too, who at least know a little bit about Kefka, um, would lose their mind. Just look at that. Look at that Heartless's smile. That's just great. That's just so perfect. Um, but yeah, we could have like Final Fantasy characters join the fight in these boss battles, right? So it makes sense with Mysterious Sir. Maybe, you know, it's a good way to bring Setzer back, and maybe we fight with Setzer this time because he's from six. Maybe we introduce Shadow and Interceptor, which were also from Final Fantasy VI. This was also Nomura's other. Well, both of these were Nomura's designs from Final Fantasy VI. So it'd be a way to like introduce more characters that way, and they don't really have to say much, add much to lore. They just, you know, simply help us fight, and like this kind of makes sense. This would be sick. Maybe the Mysterious Sir is the Heartless for Terra, and that's how we introduce Terra into this series. And like Terra's a pretty strong character, probably one of the strongest in the Final Fantasy series. So it makes sense that she would, her heart would create such a terrifying Heartless, right? But yeah, that's personally what I think that they should do with this series is at bare minimum just add all of these add all of these guys as secret boss battles at the end of the game, and I think that's like doing going above and beyond for us, especially like Bahamut. I think people would lose their mind. Oh yeah, that was the other thing with Bahamut. It being set up sort of is with Rex name dropping Bahamut in Toy Box or whatever, talking about Virum Rex or Virum Rex, and he was like stuck on Bahamut, right? Level 47 Bahamut or something like that. So I definitely think that since we're going to Quadratum in the next game, this one I think might be in the woodworks. To be honest, I actually give them having boss battles, like summon boss battles, like actually a pretty high chance of happening. At least I hope. Fingers crossed. But yeah, they can do that. They can add it as like post game content if they want to create lore to it. Have it be its own independent thing if you can't involve characters into the narrative. I'm curious as to what you guys feel about how you guys would feel about having Final Fantasy summon secret bosses instead of like data battles that we're used to. Let me know that in the comments. I'm gonna make a couple predictions too for Final Fantasy before I end this video. Just because we obviously know that they're gonna make it back into the next game, simply because Nomura has kind of talked about it already, and it's pretty obvious. I actually give Bahamut like a really high chance of somehow being included into, if not FF or if not KH4, like KH5. I do think that they will be involved more into the story, even though I don't find it necessary. As long as it's done well, I guess. Like I wouldn't care at all, as long as it's done really good. Like Auron. Like I think Auron's are the best used Final Fantasy character for the in this series and with its narrative. Uh, I'm aside from the Hollow Bastion committee, um, because there's no way we're not utilizing Hollow Bastion in the future. Kind of everything is starting to funnel back into Hollow Bastion, right? Because from the first game that we've seen, like the arc is there, and we're doing the Union Cross story, and the arc is super important. So we are funneling back into Hollow Bastion, which is like the home for most Radiant Garden, which is like the home for most Final Fantasy characters. So I actually think that we're gonna get a huge spike in Final Fantasy characters. So obviously, I think we're going to be seeing like the Halabashan Committee again, which is like Leon and his gang. I think it's possible Noctis might make it in as a little treat to the fans. I can definitely see both him and Lightning making it in. I don't think Nomura is that bitter to not include Noctis when he knows like the fans would absolutely lose their mind seeing him make it into a Kingdom Hearts game. Square's really pushing Clive, so I think Clive has a pretty fat chance of making it in. Just because it seems like Square really is trying hard to push him. I personally would like to see Meteor from who's like the main character for Final Fantasy 14. I think that would go crazy. And that Final Fantasy 14 is hella successful. But I can see like him. The number one person, the number one Final Fantasy representative that I personally actually want to see, and I've felt this way for a long time, is the Warrior of Light from Final Fantasy One. Like, he's kind of like from Final Fantasy One. He's like a representative, I guess, of because I don't know. Final Fantasy One's weird. There's four nameless characters, and Warrior of Light is the mascot for the game, but that technically not none of them is really Warrior of Light. But I don't know. I haven't played Strangers of Paradise yet, so maybe that's different if I play that game. But anyways, I think Warrior of Light is like the perfect candidate for a Kingdom Hearts um, cameo, just because that's essentially what Sora is, right? He's just the Warrior of Light, just in a different way, and he's has a Keyblade. So I would love to see him make it in the game. If not, Garland would be a dope ass boss battle too. Like a heartless Garland would be sick. Since we're going into Quadratum 2, there's definitely a lot of new opportunities to do new things. Like everything's fresh moving into this next game, which makes things really interesting. I know Ava from Parasite Eve was supposed to end up in a Kingdom Hearts game. I think that this might be her opportunity to, as well as Laguna. I think will make it in. He was another character that was supposed to make it in. I don't think Irvine will. I don't think he's popular enough to really matter. Uh, unless they plan on doing a Final Fantasy VIII remake, then like hell yeah, add all of the Final Fantasy VIII characters, because it's just a smart thing to do. Like I said, financially, it just will benefit you. And then same with like the Mysterious Sir Kefka boss battle. Like that's a really good way to drum up hype around like a potential Final Fantasy VI remake, which I know a bunch of Six fans want. I'm trying to think if there's any other remaining thoughts that I have on Final Fantasy or just Square characters in the series. I can see what's his name? Scion from the Bouncer. I can see him making it into Quadratum at least. I think that would be super interesting. And we definitely need to see more The World Ends With You characters. I really want to see like it'd be cool to see Neko and Beat again. But I want to see Rindo. Minamimoto is like another one that is in my top three. I want to see make a cameo. He's probably my favorite video game character design, and I absolutely love that character. It's so cool. From The World Ends With You, and even like his what are they called? Oh my god, what are they called? Noise. His little, well, I guess spoiler, but sort of. I won't say too much, but his noise would be a dope ass uh, boss battle, like secret boss battle. I think that would be cool. In general, it'd be cool to I guess to see any of the noise boss battle or become boss battles, like kind of like what they're doing with like Reynatus, right? How that has some crossing over with The World Ends With You, and again, it's promoting another series, which is a good thing. You can drum up hype for our next The World Ends With You because it's I please make just make one more World Ends With You game, and it'd be perfect because it feels like that's what they were setting up is like the whole like even like the main characters represent what are they, the three monkeys, the hear no evil see no evil. You got Neko with the headphones, is hear no evil, Jesus. um Rindo with the face mask, speak no evil, and then we just need somebody with goggles, you know what I'm saying, or glasses, and then that's as our main character, and then that's see no evil, and I just be another good way to promote your other games, and even to see even potentially if you can drum up interest, you know, in potential new games for it. I'm also gonna give. I think there's a slight chance that the dude, the main character, I can't remember his name, the main character from Renatus, I can see him actually having a small cameo in a Kingdom Hearts game. But I mean, that remains to be seen. And I think that's all I really want to say about Final Fantasy characters in the Kingdom Hearts series. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments on what they should do or how you would handle Final Fantasy character cameos in Kingdom Hearts. Let me know what you think of my idea with the whole using the summons as like giant kaiju cinematic battles, secret bosses. I invite you to subscribe to the channel. I'm almost at 500 subscribers, I think, which is pretty cool. So thank you guys for helping me out with that. Like the video if you enjoyed it and want to see more Kingdom Hearts content. And have a great day. Peace.